they talk from. Responding, crew 4. Again, if you're coming in past the park, once you get to 10th Street, it'll be on the left-hand side of the house.
Just having a hard time seeing because of the smoke.
Fire up out of the forest and tossed it over a major thoroughfare, and then it started spreading to some northern communities. Now firefighters have done all they can to try to push back on that.
Hi, I'm Chuck Lavelle, keyboardist and musical director for the Rolling Stones. And I'm also a conservationist, a tree farmer, and the host of a nationally televised program called America's Forests with Chuck Lavelle. We are all aware of the horrific wildfires that burned millions of acres of forest land out west in 2020. Oregon and California were especially hard hit, and state parks there were not spared. I am passionate about our nation's forests, and what most people may not be aware of is that America's state parks manage over 12 million acres of forest land across 50 states. This is a truly awe-inspiring responsibility, and the men and women of our state park systems have my respect and admiration. My friends at STIHL, who are longtime supporters of America's state parks, set out to help parks in Oregon and California on the long road to recovery by planting 2,021 trees in the year 2021 as part of their Hearts of STIHL program.
I think the thing that excites me the most is the way that sometimes a crisis like this can actually show the best of us. When we pull together as a community, there's nothing we can't do. All with one single vision in mind, to reinvigorate and to bring back life and trees and wildlife and beauty to a place that had suffered such devastation.
Bringing together multiple public, private, and nonprofit groups, the Hearts of STIHL project kicked off in June of 2021 and focused on two parks in particular that suffered significant loss. In Oregon, the Collier Memorial State Park had 400 of the park's 570 acres burned.
In early September of 2020, we had a fire event occur just north of the property, northeast of our property here, that started on federal land, and that fire spread quickly onto our property. It eventually burned through much of our property, burned up into our campground, burned over our campground, and then spread throughout this area. And so we lost a lot of our acreage here to fire and lost a lot of our tree cover. But beyond that, even, this fire, known as the 242 fire, burned miles and miles in all directions. Several homes were lost, a lot of ground was burned, and a lot of damage was done.
Almost 500 acres were burned in the fire, and it is a fire-adapted ecosystem, so that's not too alarming for us. It will rebound, but we're going to facilitate that recovery.
I don't know where she wants to put it.
You don't recover on your own. It takes a community.
Great job.
My good friend Roger from STIHL hit me a couple months ago and said, hey, I have this really crazy idea. What if we did something positive for Oregon? We want to do something to help Oregon recover from these wildfires. And what do you think about coming out and planting 2,021 trees and bringing all my new friends?
It's going. Watch those limbs.
Today is the first day where we are actually cutting some trees since the fire and also doing some planting. So it's kind of a kickoff of all of the work yet to come here at Collier State Park.
Fishery-wise, this is about as important as it gets, and that's why all of these trees here and stuff are worth their weight in gold, because this is the powerhouse for our red band trout.
So your old dead trees that are getting tipped in the water, providing cover and a little bit of a break for these juvenile fish and cover for the adult fish to get through the predators. And then your new trees are holding back enough sediment, ideally, to where those eggs can get oxygen and don't get smothered before they get a chance to hatch.
From our standpoint, it's ideal to get the native vegetation that's supposed to be here back in, so it grabs a hold of that sediment and just traps it before we lose it to the stream, and it just does damage.
It's not just the people, the plants, the fish, the wildlife, the habitat, and all of those things are equally important. You know, humans will adapt, but it's our responsibility to steward this for everything else.
I've been focusing my energy and my spirit on the opportunity for regrowth, like these trees being planted today, and the plants that are coming back, and the opportunity for change to see what the future of Collier Park will become.
In tragedy comes opportunity, and so that's been our focus all along, is focusing on our opportunity to come back with something better, come back with a more natural stand of trees, a more diverse set of canopy, and again, hopefully renewed relationships and partnerships with our neighbors and our partnering agencies.
In California, 70% of the 168 miles of shoreline that is considered the Lake Oroville State Recreation Area was impacted.
In 2020, the North Complex fire came through here and burned about 8,700 acres of the park. Here within Loafer Creek, the recreation area that we are at today, there was about 400 acres that burned. The fire came through pretty hot, burned up a lot of the trees.
This fire burned really intensely, very, very hot. It's destroyed almost everything in its path. As you look around the shores of Lake Oroville, there's a huge aesthetic value, not just the natural resource value and the habitat value, which we all know is important, but the aesthetic value. We've got drought conditions, we've got a low lake, and we've got an intense fire that burned our landscape. So that reestablishment of those trees is a huge part of the experience, especially on the trails.
Fire is a general term, but every landscape is different and has its own issues, and I'm very fortunate to be on the ground with people who are working to mitigate what happened here.
The forest is kind of hurting right now out here. Unfortunately, there's not any really live trees right now. A lot of that area burned really hot. So we're in here today to kind of drop some hazardous trees, kind of take a look at some of the trails, and then we also are going to be planting some trees into the ground, doing a little bit of replanting.
We're here to help protect the natural and cultural resources and help educate people along the way that yes, fire burned through here, and we're going to see a series over the next several years on just kind of that regrowth and regeneration of the forest that's through here, and all because we have our employees and volunteers, our partners that are coming in, thinning out the hazard trees and planting new trees for new growth, and for generations to come they're going to be able to enjoy that.
In September, the teams returned and completed the bulk of the planting, and nature cooperated with the first heavy rains of the season.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll grab some materials and we'll start going down that way.
Today we're planting gray pines and or foothill pines. Part of the reason we are planting the gray pines in this location is to accelerate the regeneration of the oak pine forest that was damaged during the fire. A lot of the regenerating pines were killed out by the fire, and our large seed trees had to be removed. So our planting of these trees will encourage that acceleration and get the important food product back to the native animals in the area.
So part of our tree planting effort, we're doing gray pines, but we're also putting in some oaks. So I've got with me Chad Mackey, one of our environmental services interns, and he's got some acorns that we've collected here locally from source trees here on site. And he's gonna go ahead and be putting some of these in the ground as well.
We're here today wrapping up our tree planting for 2021. We'd like to thank STIHL and our partners for being here today to help us get these different varieties of trees, native species back here into the ground to help give the landscape a little boost and the community a greater opportunity to recover, and we just appreciate all the help.
The restoration work we're doing today with the help of STIHL and our partners helps us recover things quicker to ensure that the forest is on its way towards recovery, and we're protecting the water side. That's the goal of our restoration work today.
What I'm most excited about is seeing all of these different groups coming together for a common purpose. Whether it's Ryan Callahan and the Meat Eater Group, and of course, the state park personnel. STIHL is proud to be working with these people to kick off this rejuvenation effort, and it's just the beginning.
The success of this project inspired my friends at STIHL to expand the Hearts of STIHL program. So in 2022, 6 state parks across America will receive funds and support to assist with recovery, sustainability, and conservation of these national treasures. You can learn more about the program at stihlusa.com.